What is up, everybody? Purple and Gold podcast here on a St. Patrick's Day edition, Tuesday, March the 17th. LSU and Grambling tonight, 6:30 Central Time. Excuse me, at Alex Box Stadium. Want to preview the game a little bit. So this is a game that is an interesting one on the schedule because everything is a little compressed. The Tigers didn't get back from Nashville until yesterday. They weren't able to come back Sunday night due to weather. And of course, the Oklahoma series is a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series. Grambling is not a very good baseball team. They've given up 10 or more runs in over half of their games played. Their team ERA is a 9.19. LSU, who has not fielded the ball well at all, has a 974 fielding percentage. Grambling has a 962. It's going to be cold tonight. It's going to be chilly. But if LSU just puts some at-bats together and does what they need to do, they should be able to score plenty runs. And honestly, hopefully, they can run rule this team and save some of the pitching that they will ultimately need on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Not that LSU has played anywhere near the kind of baseball in the last 2 weeks that you would predict a run rule. Who starts for LSU tonight? Well, you could see Reagan Ricken. You could see Marcos Paz. You could see Zion Theophilus. My guess is who starts is not all that important because my thought here would be you would see 6 or 7 guys if the game goes a full 9 innings, maybe 5 or 6 guys if it goes 7 innings. I think they'd like to get Ethan Plog back out there. I think they could get Jaden Newt back out there. I don't think you will see Devin Sheeran. I don't think you would see Gavin Guidry unless it was a really tense situation. And I don't think you'll see Maverick Rizzi, who pitched twice over the weekend. I wanted to talk a little bit about LSU's bullpen, and one of the things that I finding to be some encouraging signs that maybe LSU's starting to break out of this a little bit. So I went back and looked at a few box scores. I wanted to talk about this relative to Zach Cowan's performance on Friday night. So Zach Cowan pitched 3 1/3 innings, no earned, 5 strikeouts. He looked like the Zach Cowan we saw in Omaha against Arkansas. He looked like the Zach Cowan who teamed up with Case and Evans all of last year to really be one of the more formidable 1-2 bullpen punches. I know he kind of had a rough stretch there right at the end of the regular season, but then he got it to, and a little bit in the regional against Little Rock, but then he got it together again in Omaha and delivered a performance that, quite frankly, LSU couldn't have won the national championship without it. So let's hope that Zach Cowan is turning a corner. Santiago Garcia's last outing, he was an inning, earned run, 3 Ks, 2 hits, and a walk. Not great, but he limited the damage. That was against Vanderbilt. His previous time against Creighton, 2 2/3, no earned, 4 Ks, 1 hit, no walks. I think when he transferred in from Oregon, we all thought he was going to be a big piece of this bullpen. It seems like maybe he's gathering some steam here to be an eventual big piece of that bullpen. His only real bad outing was his first outing against Milwaukee, and it was when he came into a game that LSU was winning like 15-2 or something like that, and he gave up a 3-run inning, and since then he's actually been very good. And then I want to talk about a guy like Cooper Williams, because Cooper Williams and Zach Cowan are 2 of the guys that have really let LSU's bullpen down early in the season. And Cooper Williams did have the rough performance on Friday night where he was an inning, 4 earned. But on Sunday, he was a scoreless inning. And his timeout before that, his previous timeout, he threw a scoreless inning. So 2 of his last 3 have been clean. If you can get these 3 guys to go with Gavin Guidry and to go with Devin Sheeran, which I know it's been a little rocky lately for Guidry, but Jay Johnson said he trusts Gavin Guidry with his life. His words, not mine. I know it was a little rocky for Sheeran on Sunday, but all in all, he did fine outside of the 3-run homer. And again, small ballpark, wind blowing out, crazy offensive game. I want to see if those 5 guys can wind up in April and May being the core of what this bullpen can be and should be. So that's an interesting sort of look inside. You know, you also have Ethan Plog. You also have Jaden Newt, who we talked about, right? They did use both Reagan Ricken, Zion Theophilus, and Marcos Paz, 3 freshmen over the weekend in limited appearances against Vanderbilt. Maybe one of those guys could emerge. If anyone was going to emerge, I think it would be Paz. So that's just some encouraging signs. On the offensive side, I really think having Stanfield back is a big, big bonus. I think there was a lot of positive from Stephen Milam. I think there's a lot of positives, obviously, still to come from Jake Brown and Derek Curiel. I think Kate Aaron Beatty started to come out of it a little bit. I think Omar Cerna is putting together better at bats. I don't want to paint a rosy picture of a 14-7 unranked baseball team. I'm just trying to look inside of what's going on here to say, how did the preseason number 2 team fall so far so fast? Because I don't think it's talent. I don't think it's a misevaluation. Now, maybe here and there, maybe a Trent Carraway, maybe a Zach York, maybe you missed on a guy or 2 there. I don't think we wholesale missed on everybody. I don't think Kason Evans is as bad as what his statistics indicate. I don't think that Derek Curiel can't still hit, 350 and do the things we saw him do last year. I am of the belief that this is still a team that has its best baseball in front of them. You saw the way they played the first 8 games. The first 8 games were largely against competition outside of Vanderbilt that was really as good or better than the Dartmouths, Northeasterns, Lafayette, and Sacramento State. They played Kent State. They played the 3 Power 4 teams in Jacksonville. They played McNeese. This is not a situation where they feasted on the bad part of the schedule, got to the tougher part, and now can't play. I don't think that the games that they lost in the last 2 weeks, I don't think those teams are significantly better than some of the teams they beat. So that's an interesting part of this too. So let's see if LSU can continue to make some incremental gains tonight. Not that you're going to learn anything from potentially run-ruling Grambling, but I think potentially run-ruling Grambling would make everybody feel a little bit better going into Thursday night, which is going to be a very interesting game. There's going to be a lot of pressure on LSU. Cam Johnson, who was at LSU his freshman year, is now Oklahoma's Friday night guy, Thursday night guy. He's lefty. It's going to cause some problems. He's been striking out a lot of people. He's finally putting it all together. He was the highest ranked recruit to ever make it to campus at LSU. It didn't work out for him after his freshman year. He transferred. There's going to be a lot of pressure on LSU in Thursday night's game. Let's hope they don't add to any of that by playing poorly tonight. I will leave you with this tonight in the first 4 in the NCAA tournament in Dayton, Ohio. NC State plays Texas. Why is that relevant? Well, Will Wade is the coach of NC State. If you want Will Wade or you think Will Wade might come back to LSU, a loss tonight would make him available earlier than any of us thought. So keep an eye on that. Also, keep an eye on Team USA tonight in the World Baseball Classic. They play in the championship against Venezuela. Alex Bregman and, of course, Paul Skeens are on that team. Paul Skeens will not pitch tonight. He's already pitched twice. That'll get us out of here today. As always, be good to one another. And always, 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 go Tigers.